Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Chloe here again, and today I'm here with Miss Natalie.
Hi guys.
Miss Natalie, what is a mental performance coach and what do you do here at Beam Queen Bootcamp?
So a mental performance coach is someone that helps athletes with their mental side of the sport. So making sure that we are feeling nice and confident. We are working on any performance anxiety we may have. So it's helping our brain be a little bit more productive to help our body do what it's supposed to do in our sport.
Why is it so important for gymnasts to train their minds, not just their bodies?
Well, it's actually really important because our sport is 80% mental, 20% physical. So if we're not training that mental side, then we're kind of losing some potential that we may possibly have in our performance and in our sport. So our mind is actually the most important. So a lot of times we train our body, we work out. I'm sure you practice a ton, but making sure that we're also practicing that mental game as well.
What do you tell gymnasts when they feel nervous or scared before doing a skill?
So a lot of times it's not necessarily what I tell them. It's usually trying to activate a calm and confident mindset. So I usually try to talk to them a little bit about, being aware of their energy levels, trying to calm down, and then you can start activating like that positive self-talk that you and I talked about yesterday a little bit. And so it's more kind of calming down our nervous system, and then usually we'll be able to go for whatever skill we're trying to do.
Do you have any fun tricks to help gymnasts feel more confident on beam?
Yeah, I've got a lot of fun tricks actually. So it really depends on like what the gymnast that I'm working with, what they're experiencing on beam. So let's say it is a mental block or anything like that. It's going to be a lot of breathing techniques, a lot of I am statements. So like when I was a gymnast and I was scared to go for my skills, I would say I am safe and I'm in control, because those were two things I did not feel like I had when I was trying to do my skills. So if you're nervous for a skill, that's what I would say to do. But there's a lot of gymnasts that are like, you know what, I'm not scared to do a skill, but I get really distracted when I'm out there. So sometimes it's kind of talking yourself through your skill, either through like keywords or cue words, anything like that, that will help you stay focused on what exactly you're supposed to do.
What should a gymnast do if they fall in practice or a meet and feel upset?
So what I always like to teach is this idea of mistakes are temporary. So it's usually the way we are reacting to the mistake that tends to make us feel more frustrated or anything like that. So usually it is the self-talk. So trying to just tell yourself, you know what, it's okay. I can always replace my mistakes and keep working through them. And a lot of times our mistakes give us such good answers on how to fix it for the next time. So let's say you're doing some skill on beam and you fell off. And instead of just being like, oh, why'd I fall off? Like I always fall off, and get really upset with yourself, you're kind of thinking like, all right, I fell off. What was the reason for that? And then trying to focus on the correction rather than the mistake.
Why is it okay to make mistakes in gymnastics?
Well, it's okay because mistakes happen all the time, right? Like I'm sure you've made mistakes. I know I've made mistakes in gymnastics, and they are stepping stones to becoming better, and I think one of the gymnasts yesterday, Chloe, had talked about that slingshot idea. So, like if you are a slingshot and you want to be catapulted forward, you kind of have to take some steps back. You got to make some mistakes. You got to have some setbacks before you can really activate and go forward. So mistakes, I think, are actually a really good thing. There's so much more potential to grow when we make mistakes.
How can we stop that little voice in our heads that says we can't do something?
That's a hard one. But I always say, negative self-talk is always going to be there, right? Like it's just really easy for that to happen. And I don't think there's even the most positive person in the world they're still going to have those little negative thoughts going on. But more of it is trying with conscious effort to change your mindset. Anytime you say something positive or negative, we want to replace that with something positive. And having your positive voice be louder than the negative one. So if you say something negative after like a routine or anything like that, maybe try to replace it with 2 positive statements instead, so that you're always building on the positive, and eventually the more times we say something or think something, the more times we believe that. So if you want to start creating a positive mindset, it's going to be doing that as consistently as possible. And even the times when you're really, really successful, that's when you want to start with the positive attitude, because it's just really easy to do it from there. Okay.
Do you ever work with gymnasts on setting goals? How can young gymnasts set good goals?
Yeah, I do actually. That is something I do all the time with a lot of my clients and athletes that I work with. And a way that you can set good goals is with this acronym of SMART. So SMART goals is a way that we can make sure that we're making goals specific, manageable, and measurable. So having some sort of like quantity. A lot of times athletes will say, well, I just want to get more consistent on this skill. Well, what does consistent look like? You know, is that sticking it 5 times? Is that keeping your legs straight 3 times? Is that going for it 2 times if you're, you know, experiencing a mental block? So making sure that there's something we can tangibly record and like show your progress. Making sure that our goals are attainable. So is it realistic for where you're at right now? And then making sure it's realistic as well and relevant to what you're doing, right? If we're setting a goal for bars and we want to get better at bars, maybe, you know, focusing on a skill that's not in your, you know, that routine right now may not be relevant, okay? And then making sure that they have some sort of time frame or time bound. So give yourself, is this a short-term goal? Is this a daily goal, a weekly goal, a monthly goal, and stuff like that. I like to work kind of backwards so we get like a big picture. Well, where do you want to get to? Where do you want to go? And then we kind of say, okay, well, what's that monthly goal that you want to hit? And then how can we break that down, that monthly goal, into weekly goals, and then take that weekly goal into daily goals. So that it's way more manageable, because if we always just think of big picture and we're looking so far ahead, we're always going to feel like I'm not even close to that yet. I'm so far behind. So yeah, I work with on goals almost every time I work with an athlete.
What's your favorite part about working with gymnasts at this camp?
I think my favorite part is it's also relatable, and I think what I like when I have girls in a group is we start to realize that everyone's kind of experiencing the same thing, right? And I know, like, when I was a gymnast, I felt like I was so alone and so isolated with the mental blocks I experienced. But then when we can all come together as a group and talk about it and say, oh, wait, like, I'm nervous for that too, or, oh, I'm struggling with that as well, then you guys can see that hey, you're not alone and everyone kind of experiences this. I love doing that, and then I also love being able to have those potential times for hands-on work. So I talk a lot with you guys about confidence, but I like to be on the rotation sometimes and being able to actually help girls through mental blocks or kind of stop them in the moment to be able to walk them through like what I'm talking about in those sessions. So I would say that's my favorite part about it.
What's one piece of advice you would give to any gymnast who wants to grow stronger inside and out?
I would say to start now with any sort of mental performance training. It's never too late. You don't have to be struggling with something to start working on your mental performance. Like we talked about in the beginning, sports 80% mental, 20% physical. So if you're actually not training that mental side, you're a little bit behind. So we got to start doing that. But what I would say to start with is first just having like an observation and that self-awareness. So just being aware of, you know, what interacts with my confidence? When do I feel most confident? When don't I feel confident? And trying to figure that out, and then that can kind of give you a stepping stone of where should you take mental training, because not everyone may need the same type of things.
Well, thank you, Miss Natalie, for doing this interview with me. And thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and share this video with your friends. Bye.